Alright guys, it's Brendo ST. Alright, now I'm taking an AVI clip of the moon using my ASI 120 and my ZWO 60mm scope. It's not a very big scope. There's a 3x Barlow in there right now, and I mean, we get pretty close to it. Oh, I should have set a limit to this. My apologies. So basically, I want to take a video of about 1,000 frames. Now it's still light out, so this is not polar aligned any means necessary. It's as close as I can get it. I know Polaris is that way, but you can tell it's still drifting significantly. Right now I'm trying to move it where it's not gonna drift too far off, and we can get a corner of this. I'm gonna get 2 shots here. I'm gonna switch out with a different Barlow in a second, but I'm just trying to get 1,000 frames here and hit a video. And this is using the ASI Cap software. It automatically installs when you get a ZWO camera, I'm pretty sure. And so you can see it is drifting slowly but surely, but I think we should be able to finish before it clips off the edge of that. And when we go into the stacking process, we'll be able to stack the images pretty quick. Unfortunately, we're losing a little bit of it. It's drifting a little too fast. Well, that's my fault. I'm impatient and still too light out to really get a good shot. The tracker I'm using is a Ioptron 3200 Smart EQ Pro. Not the greatest mount, but it does well. And like I said, you definitely could use a bigger telescope. This is just what I have laying around. So this video's done taking here. And you can tell it's drifted quite a bit. You can do this with pictures as well, but I find it easier to go through the frames on a video. It's much faster, and I set my gain and everything all automatically. So I'm gonna take this 3x Barlow out because you're getting up close, but I want to try to get a wide shot of everything, so I'm gonna switch out and see what we can do. Alright guys, this time you can see I have the moon centered in, is in focus as well as I can get it. I've got it at 3,000 frames right now, and it's going through, so I believe the moon will stay in frame for that whole thing, so I won't have to adjust too much. And like I said, I just took the Barlow out. I might be able to, it's starting to get dark enough where I might be able to see Polaris and get this properly aligned. Sure makes it easier for this kind of stuff at least. But I mean, this is just at sunset, so I don't see anything yet. Not with my eyes, at least. But let it finish here, and then I'm going to go upstairs with the video clips that I have, and we'll process them through PiPP and Autostakkert, and I'll finish off in Registax, I believe. Same process as I do for stills, but the video, I feel like, at least this camera, it's a monochrome camera, I feel like it gives you way more detail getting closer to the moon than I would have gotten with my DSLR. Alrighty guys, I'm on my computer now, and before you ask, yes, the background is a picture I took with my DSLR. I might do a video later on how I do lightning shots, but that's for a different day because there's no thunderstorms around here that frequent, so that was a lucky day. So I have my videos on here that I have dragged over from my laptop. These are going to be obviously your video clip that you took. It's an AVI file. I'm gonna pick which one we're gonna do here. I think I'll do this one, I believe, because this looks like it was steady in frame. It lost a little bit at the end there, but I think we can still recover most of that. Let me see if there's another one. Ooh, what's going on? What was this one? Okay, that was... Alright. So, we're going to do that one. I'm going to do one of those big ones, and then a couple of these where... That one's a little dark. We'll see what happens, though. But first, we're gonna do that up-close shot. So, there was a second one I did there. I have not done this in a while, so bear with me as I kind of remember how to do this crap. But for the most part, I remember we're doing, we gotta do our input file. We're gonna add our image files, which in this case it's right on my desktop, and it is going to be an AVI file, this second one here. So we got that. That's what we got so far. We are doing solar close up. Now, if I remember correctly, this is, we'll get to that, I think. So for input options, let's see if I remember changing anything here. I'm gonna leave all this the same. So I recorded with a monochrome camera already. But I should not need to do anything. It should automatically detect that it was monochrome. For processing options, okay, convert color. I'm just gonna uncheck that because we don't need to, because it's already black and white. This one I like to do that. I'll leave it at 75%. I think that's the option. And then, okay, anchor feature box. So this is basically where it's gonna kind of align every image. So let's say we want to anchor right there. So when it goes to go through all the frames, there's 1,000 frames going to go through. It's going to make sure that spot, that box, is in every frame. So you don't, it'll throw out the frames that are obviously not good. We don't want to resize. We're going to leave them the same. I feel like I set black point to 0 before. Can't remember, but I'm going to click it anyway. We'll see what happens. Quality options. This is a good one. I like to drop a certain percentage of frames. I like to keep, so we're doing 1,000 frames here. We're not going to process all the frames. So let's say 50% of those frames, the best ones will keep. That's going to drop 50% of the bad ones, because not everything's perfect in our world here. Nothing in animation options. The output, we're going to output in an AVI. It's going to output I think that is all in here. So as long as all my settings are right, we'll go to start processing. Just make sure. I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't know for sure. I've had this happen before. There was something I had to change. I can't remember it. Maybe it wasn't in this. It might have been in the next step, which would have been Autostakkert. So, start processing. This usually goes pretty quick when you're dealing with an AVI as opposed to a singular frames from like a camera. But that's because this is recording in 1280 by 960. So it's a really small frame. When I was taking it with a DSLR, I'm taking a 6,000 by 4,000 frame image, or however a 20 megapixel images. I don't remember the numbers, but it takes a lot longer when you do 1,000 frames of a DSLR image as opposed to just a video here. So this is done. This is going to be, I'm going to minus this right now, minimize it. It should have in here a little pip file with our frames. They should all kind of look like this, kind of wiggling around like that, but fairly staying in the same spot. If there's any frames that look off, or like a half frame or something, like, looks like everything's good. So we're going to keep that. So next step. I have not ran this yet. This is Autostakkert. This is where we're going to do all our stacking. We're going to open that file we just made. And mind you, there's other ways to do this. This is just the way I'm familiarized myself with doing this processing. This is my workflow for moon images and videos. There's probably way better ways than this. Trust me. This is a process, but all right. So this is our moon. Yep, that is a moon, all right. We're going to leave this stuff. I'm going to go and analyze the image. That gets one part of the way. Frames, percentage of stack. So we already cut the stack, or cut the frames in half to 500 frames. So we went from 1,000 to 500. If you wanted to go further with that, you could do it here. And because we already did that, let's just say I'm going to stack 80% of the frames. This drizzle, especially when dealing with my specific camera, which is ASI 120, the frame size is so small, the 1280 by 900 or whatever, I like to do a 3.0 drizzle, 3x drizzle. This will increase the image size by 3 times. I don't know exactly what it does completely, but I just know it looks better when I do it like this. At first it won't, but when we get to the actual processing of the image in Registax, it will. So, we're not sharpening the image. We will do that ourselves. But we do need to place a grid. So, let's do 24 and see what it looks like. Oh, okay. All right. We may want to decrease brightness, or no, hold on, do I want to increase brightness? No, brightness would be, because I want to get more of the image, because we're see we're cutting off a little bit here. I got a close edge, kind of got to remember how to do this. There we go, that's better. Because I want the whole image. This top here, I might lose that, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So now I got my frame set here. Doesn't really matter what number you do here. I really don't think it does, but this is how it's going to adjust to stack the images. So I'm going to go ahead and stack. Actually, I think there was one thing I wanted to check before I did this, and I did not, but we'll see what it does here. It's going to stack the image, because there's something in one of these settings. I think it's a double stack. So what it does, it'll go through, and then it'll go through again just to make sure everything was aligned properly. And all this is doing right here is actually aligning all the images. So you got 500 frames that you have left, and it's now perfectly aligning those frames on top of each other to create a single stacked image. In our case, we're doing 80% of 500. Whatever that number equates to. Well, I'm not doing math in my head. I know it's an easy number. Mock me as much as you want. I'm not mathing right now. But damn it, I think it's 400 or something. I don't know, somewhere around there. But right now it's stacking the images. We're gonna let this go a second. Yeah, it's 400, isn't it? I'm not actually doing the math, I'm just quick thinking, which is very slow, obviously. Now, depending on your computer, this may take a minute or two. Alright. So I didn't do the thing I wanted to, which would be under advanced, and that is brute force alignment. Pretty sure it was brute force alignment. Or was a setting somewhere in here where it double stack reference, maybe. I don't remember, but one is fine. It's not going to kill the image. So we're done here. Now we're going to go into Registax. All these programs that I'm using, PiPP, Registax6, Autostakkert, they're all free on the internet. You just got to go to Google search each one and find them. Very useful program, especially Registax. I was kind of on the fence about using it originally until I kind of got used to using the wavelets and understood how how amazing it really is for planetary imaging. Deep sky stuff, I've never tried to use it for. I have my own separate workflow for all of that. Nope. There we go. It always saves in a TIFF at the end here. And we're not going to stretch any levels or anything here. All I want to do is get into the wavelets, which here we are. So this is our stacked image. As you can tell, it looks a little blurry, but don't worry, because this is where Registax comes in. I'm going to click an area because it creates like a box, and we want to do Gaussian. So I only use about 3 or 4 of these. I don't do all the layers here, but I'm gonna increase the sharpening for this one. I'm gonna, let's say 250, 0.250, and I go fairly high on the first round. So let me increase a little bit more. We'll do 300. So you can already see, yeah, there's an image there. It's sharpening up the image, but you got all this noise that's making. And that's where you kind of click this a few times. I like to go to 35. Feel like that gets most of that junk out of there. And then, of course, I'll go with my second one. And the second one is going to be significantly lower on the sharpening, maybe 200. I'll add a little bit of denoise as well, but not as much. And we'll raise that up as well. And you can see the image is getting just a little bit clearer. And then the last one, we'll do like 150. We'll add a little bit of denoise. And once again, it's all up to your eye of how far you want it to go. But like from that to that is pretty significant. I'm sure there's more I can do in here, but if you go too far in the denoise, you're going to start to blur out your sharpening, and you don't want to go too far. So I like to keep it at 35. If I go past 35, you start to see those little checker marks come back in, which are, I don't want those. And then not really anything's going to happen with that. I'll just slide it up. So this is kind of, I'm happy with this. We'll hit do all at the top here. It's going to go through the whole image. It's going to do everything with that specific little filter. But we aren't done. No, we are not done. Because I take it from here, I go right into Photoshop with it. And I don't do anything crazy in Photoshop. I just want to give it a little extra kick. I'm sure you can do all the stuff I do in Photoshop in Registax. I just don't know how to do it. And I don't feel like trying to learn how to do it right now because I like my way of doing things. We're going to have to crop the bottom off because obviously part of the image was not there. But let's save our image because we have this. We don't want to, so we want to save it as a TIFF. Make sure you save it as TIFF. Just overwrite the original one. Doesn't really matter. Alright. Registax done. Photoshop. Next. Okay. Open. Going to desktop. ASI cap. Pull open our drizzle image here. I think this is it. Nice and sharp. Yep. Okay. So, well, you can tell. Nice and detailed. This is where I'm going to do a quick crop. We're going to get rid of that crap. Crappity crop. Alright. We're going to what I usually do is go right into filter, go into camera raw filter. I spend most of my time on all my deep sky objects. Everything I do is in camera raw filter. It's my favorite place to be, because this is where I can like adjust things like, oh, I want to add a little contrast, maybe not. Like, this is where I can bring up the highlights, drop them down a little bit. Maybe it's too bright in that area. Maybe I want to add a little bit of light. You know, this is where all that stuff is done. Maybe I want to bring the highlights down a little bit, but I want it to have a little bit of light there, because you know the sun's kind of reflecting in that area the most. Clarity is a nice one, because that really brings out a lot of those hidden details and those shadows and the blacks there. I like to dehaze my image. And really, it's up to you and your preference of your image, of what you like to see. I'm pretty simple. I like to go in here. Now you can sharpen even further if you wanted to. Like, you crank this up, like, I don't really notice if you notice anything. Hold on. So, yeah, it does a little bit. It does a little bit of sharpening. But I also, you can still see when you get close to all those little lines. So if you really want to try to fade those out a little bit, add a little bit of luminance, noise reduction. So I really don't think the sharpening does anything in that case if you're adding noise reduction anyway. Maybe a little bit. And that's, look what we came from and look at what we got now. So you get a significant image from just taking a little video with your, and mind you, that camera I'm using for taking this image, and that scope I'm using is not meant for this whatsoever. That is a ASI 120mm, the Super. That's meant for a guide scope. That actual scope is a guide scope. It's meant for guiding your astrophotography rig. And I just happened, the 60mm ZWO scope that's attached to that is a little too deep for my actual camera. I need to get the 30mm instead of the 60. But you throw a Barlow in there, like this image is using a 2x Barlow, and you get pretty good detail. So not bad for what it is. So I'm gonna finish this image up, and that's it. I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna post that on like Facebook or something. But that's it. That's my process of going through and kind of giving you my view of how to take an AVI video with a guide scope camera, or you could probably use a DSLR and do an AVI from that. I think it records MP4 instead. I'm not sure. I've never really done it with the DSLR. I've always used this for video, but I've done still frames for my DSLR, which I have another video on my channel for that. But that's it. That's how to process your moon and get some amazing detail just with a little tiny guide scope camera. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll create more videos in the future. I got a whole bunch of stuff I want to do soon. Just dealing with a lot of stuff in personal life, so I haven't really made a lot of videos. I want to make a video on that lightning image that I got there. It's one of my favorite images, and I'd love to show you guys how I get those. So I'll do a video on next thunderstorm that I got. I'll show you how I set my DSLR up for that. But thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.